Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. We are, what's the date? What is the date today? March 7th of 2024. Finishing up last month in the quarter. We did expect this quarter to continue the 100% manipulation control. U.S. Mint did their job last month, only making 1.7 million silver eagles, completely against the law, completely illegal. Interesting that the first week in March, they have posted 802,000 silver eagles made in the first week. Now, theoretically, they should do that every week. If they can do it in 1 week, they can do it every week. If they are abiding by the law, which they aren't. But I have not counted them out. It's not as drastic as last year, where they were making 950,000 per month for about 4 months. And I was screaming at them, interviewed the head of Silver Eagle Sales. He says, yes, this is complete fraud. They have made a decision, an executive decision, which means Janet Yellen did it and told Ventress Gibson, who used to be the head of HR. Now she's the director of the Mint, which is just crazy. Not to make silver eagles. Why? Because silver eagles are the future of money in the United States. I hope you understand that. There can be no deciders. When the banks go down, there will be no deciders. If you understand what's going on in the derivative market and how it can take down the entire banking system, and it will take down the entire banking system, you know we're going to have to put something else in place. Now, there's some people who think the bad guys are going to take over. There's some people who think all the banks will be bailed out. There's some people who think a new gold standard within the United States is going to take place, some hybrid form of the gold standard. There's so many potential options. And the problem is there's too many potential options with very few entities that will have the support of the people. Don't forget, the World Economic Forum, the Fed, the BIS, the World Bank, all of those people will be in jail most likely. The people running them, who have committed crimes. We don't know all of the crimes yet. They refuse to audit the Fed. Clearly, the Fed has been controlling the show since 1913, especially in the early 70s when Alan Greenspan invented the computer banking system. And along with that, the computer market rigging operations that were run out of the Fed Boston and implemented in the Fed New York. And all this is, I've gone over it a million times, showed them the proof from the Fed Boston what was going on, who was behind it all, and that's where the road to Ruta came from. The road to Root A. Root A is a computer programming term in Fortran. It stands for the base, kind of the sound monetary system behind checking, savings, blah, 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 in a tree structure. It's a computer program structure. It's Root A, and then checking, savings, and all the other derivatives of the root financial basis. Some people say, yeah, you have to go, you can't have anything but gold and silver because it has to have intrinsic value. Intrinsic value is nothing more than a concept, and it is very dependent upon the individual, or what's the intrinsic value of gold versus the intrinsic value of Bitcoin. It's a man-made thing. I can tell you scenarios where the intrinsic value of gold is much greater than the intrinsic value of Bitcoin. And it could very well be that we do have a solar flare or an EMP attack. I don't think the humanity will be around much longer if the internet goes down. So the internet's not going to go down. It doesn't matter if it does or if it doesn't, because gold will be worthless when the internet goes down too. We would instantly, maybe within a couple of weeks, turn into a Mad Max world, because all the power plants would melt down and we'd have a nuclear winter and we'd all be dead. No one would have food, all that stuff. No one's going to accept gold, and who cares about the intrinsic value? There is no intrinsic value of gold. Some people say it's the cost of mining. Some people say it's human energy and blah, blah, blah. Let's say you're on a desert island. Would you rather have an ounce of gold or a ham sandwich? you're going to want the ham sandwich. You don't give a shit about the gold. What are you going to do with it? A ham sandwich, you're going to eat it. It's going to last you, you'll survive another week or so because you had a ham sandwich. So it's all mental exercise. Everything humanity does, it's all mental exercise. We came down here for a reason, and that reason is what we're experiencing right now. I hope everybody gets that. Part of my experience here on the planet is to make sure the United States government does what they're supposed to do, does what the people want. Our government works for us, not for anybody else. Do you hear that, Biden administration? Not for anybody else. Well, it's the good of the people to keep gold and silver prices low, because especially for silver, not gold. Gold nobody cares about, truthfully. The bankers have most of it. I don't know why people want the price of gold to go up. It gives more power to those people who have gold, and the vast majority of gold is held by the criminals and the banksters. I know why they want the price of silver very low. 99% of humanity, 99.9% of humanity does not want the price of silver to rise. Do you really want to pay $3,000 for a cell phone? $5,000 for a 50-inch flat screen TV? Because that's the world we'd be living in if the price of silver went to its fair market value. And I do think that we should be. Well, we shouldn't be wasting all this silver on items that make no economic sense, like solar panels, for example. But we are. And that's what right now, it's the solar panel angle that the rest of the world is using as the excuse of why all the silver is disappearing. Whether or not how much they're using and all that, they keep hidden. And a lot of people are looking at it now saying, oh my God, how could solar panel installation go up 173%? And the amount of silver used go down, or barely go up. The Silver Institute wants to go from 140 million ounces to 180 million ounces, which makes no sense at all. And also, everybody knows, even Jeff Christian said there was a massive oversupply last year. That means there's a massive amount of silver that was used in solar panels last year that are not counted in any of the inventories. And I think it's about 100 million ounces, which is about 200 gigawatts of excess capacity. And it all came out of China. Not all, but the vast majority came out of China. And they're still doing it. You just don't listen to the news, because every year for the past 5 years, the solar industry has missed the mark so drastically about what they're going to do. Yes, they're going to do a hell of a lot more than they had done this year. What was it? 400. Wait, if you go to roadtoroad.com and on the homepage, the public page, you'll see this right there. 443 million ounces. And the Solar Institute and Metals Focus wants to barely tell you that they used a little more silver. It is a complete cover-up. And they haven't released the numbers. That comes in April for the silver survey. But all eyes are on it. People understand now just how wrong these numbers have been. A lot of people are digging into the old numbers. All you have to do is compare the last 10 years of all the solar numbers, and you can see they change it. They change it to fit the narrative. Their estimates are saying, okay, there's a 1% growth seen for next year. When they do that every year and hide 10, 20, 30, 50% growth, it adds up over time, and then they have to keep doing it. And that's the criminality part of whether or not the Silver Institute and Metals Focus is telling us the truth. They can spin it whatever the way they want, but people are starting to wake up to these people who are determining what the entire industry is reporting. The entire industry reports because they're not interested in diving into the numbers. They'll say, "Oh, the Silver Institute said blah blah blah," and it gets recorded on all the news stations, all the financial television stuff, and they'll all say, "Oh yeah, silver's pretty good. You're looking at a 2% growth for next year," when it's going to be 40 or 50% growth. Sorry. I don't think the Silver Institute is going to change. Metal Focus isn't going to change. Well, at least they haven't in all the years it's been going on, and they changed the historical numbers, which I think should be illegal. It is illegal to falsify data on the comics, and everybody looks at the Silver Institute for the numbers, and I believe they are falsifying it. So we'll see what happens this year. They know I've talked to the head of the Silver Institute. I've talked to the head of Metals Focus. Not real bad people, but they do what they do. They are told what will the market take and things like that. Silver Institute is pretty much a shell corporation. Fine. That's not a problem as long as they're reporting the right numbers. But they get their numbers from Metals Focus, and they all the data they release is pretty anti-silver. There's silver's so great. We're looking at maybe a 2% rise next year and in demand. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's so ridiculous, especially last year. So we are going to jump on them as soon as that report is released. And then Jeff Christian waits till that report is released to massage numbers even further. And so the Jeff Christian report from CPM Group on silver comes a month later. If I was a Silver Institute or Metals Focus, I'd be pissed at Jeff Christian because he basically looks at the numbers that they post and then he makes up his own numbers. In my opinion, it's just an opinion. I would love to see what Jeff says about silver. How can you rise, from 252 gigawatts to 443 gigawatts? Is how much solar was put in, and what's the 173% rise? Or 73%. You have the 100% would be doubling, which from 252, it's a huge rise. You got your base and then you got your extra. I don't know how would you state that? Times 1.7. So 173. But you can't, it's not a world, and there's no justification for saying that the amount of silver used in solar panels is only, they're going to say like 10 to 15%. That's just wrong. It's flat out wrong. And they're going to have to justify that, I think, to a silver investment community that's just learning about silver. It is shocking how much the investment community does not know about silver, does not know about cryptocurrencies. I mean, people in gold and silver still can't figure out cryptocurrencies. It is shocking to me. Being in this, 16 years, they haven't figured it out yet. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin keeps running. The price of good cryptos keep running. And then the gold and silver bugs who can't understand why are cryptocurrencies running so fast. It's the same reason that gold and silver should be running so fast. It is an alternative to the unbacked fiat monetary system. And if you're so smart and you guys know your gold and silver and you think, cryptos, that doesn't mean anything, it's not backed by all that crap. All it means is you don't understand. You don't get it. And that's fine. That's why you've lost out on all these profits over the last 16 years. That's the biggest argument I think any crypto investor, a lot of crypto investors can't explain it. I explained it with Cliff I when we debated Bill Holter back in the day. Jim Sinclair. It was a great discussion in the early days of cryptos, and we talked about cryptos are standalone assets. No, you can't hack Bitcoin. You might be able to hack somebody's wallet if they leave their password somewhere that they shouldn't. But if you control your own keys, nobody but you can open up that wallet to use that. It is a standalone asset if the keys are in your own possession. Not your keys, not your coins. Love that. Trace Mayer says that. Not your keys, not your coins. If you hold your cryptos in Coinbase, expect to lose them. Any third party, expect to lose them. You must control your own keys. Anyway, what is silver doing today? Well, it's above the moving averages. So, the question is going to be, come Friday, when the Commitment of Traders report comes out, what are the top 4 traders doing? Are they continuing to rig the price, or are they running for the hills? That'll be interesting. But as you can see, this is the game they play. As it passes the moving averages, this is the structure of the market, as Rustin Benham, the head of CFTC, exposed to the world back when he says, well, the structure of the market allowed us to tamp down the silver price when it almost hit, oh my God, $30. Now, gold's hitting all-time highs in gold. There's so much more gold. Oh my God, if you guys only knew. And you will know one day, very soon. There's not, 200,000 tons like Jeff Christian will tell you. There's more like 2 million tons above ground, already known about. Read Sterling and Peggy Seagrave's book, Gold Warriors. You'll understand. Listen to the debate I had with Steve St. Angelo on Palisades Radio about the gold in the Grand Canyon. I mean, I came prepared, and he had no idea what was going to happen because he hasn't done the research. But he loved talking shit about Road to Ruta and posting all these crazy things on his website. So the debate happened. He had, by the end, he's saying, yeah. Well, it's apparent that you've done more research than I have. Then shut your mouth. Stop saying there's no gold in the Grand Canyon. Everybody's known about the gold in the Grand Canyon. Billions and billions of ounces of placer gold in the Colorado River. Completely out of bounds for mining. You cannot go in the Grand Canyon with a little panda mine. It's illegal. You can't take a pebble out of the Grand Canyon. Above it or below it. In Glen Canyon or anywhere below it. Why? Because there's massive amounts of gold there. And the United States knew this in the early 1900s. There was massive arguments about it. McFadden, the congressman, I think he was definitely a congressman. I think, I'm trying to remember back when this is the 1920s, we knew about it. And all that, the revaluation of gold from the reason that they set the price of gold. Remember, the price of gold and silver were set. The reason they set the price so low is that the mining companies couldn't extract the gold at $20 an ounce. So they set it at 20. It was more expensive. Had they set it at 35, they would have started mining massive amounts of gold out of the Grand Canyon, which they did in 1933. They changed the price of gold as soon as they confiscated gold from $20 to $35. And then they continued to rig. There's so many conspiracies in this world. And so much are true if you do the research and your homework. That's all I'm asking. Yes, you should absolutely swap every ounce of gold you have. Gold is making crazy all-time highs. I think it's still massively undervalued compared to the amount of gold or fiat money and fiat money derivatives. Of course it is. Gold will go to $5,000, $10,000. But silver's going to a 1-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio to start with, and then 1-to-1 ratio when everybody figures out there's a hell of a lot more gold out there than there is silver, and silver is so much more important. That's why they rigged the price of silver. Anyway, one day we will be proven right, and then, that's the thing. You can be wrong. Everybody's screaming at you for 20 years like been all the silver bugs. Everybody's screaming at you, no. Jeff Christian and all the Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs saying, these people are tin hat fools. And then all of a sudden, the DOJ comes out and says, yeah, they were. The banks were rigging the price of silver, but they didn't stop them. Ted Butler came out with a great article. He always comes out with great articles. But he finally figured out, hey, the silver that is being sold into the market today, the massive amounts of physical silver that is being sold into the market, because you also have to suppress the amount of physical silver out there, is all part of the plea bargain deal that J.P. Morgan struck with the DOJ. They would say, basically, they said the DOJ slapped them with a $920 million fine. But behind the scenes, there's an agreement that we haven't seen. And that agreement is they got to get rid of that 1.2 billion ounces of silver that they soaked up while they were shorting the price and making massive amounts of money. And that, I've been screaming, hey, it's all in the court documents. That's why J.P. Morgan Chase booked a gain of $1 billion the same year they had to pay the $920 million in precious metal trading. And it's like, how can you do that? Well, you can do it by leasing all the silver to folks like Bank of America. But that wouldn't book the gain because in a regular traditional lease, it's called a finance lease, there's no back end. You have to return it after, say, it's a 3-year deal. And I think most of these were 3-year leases. But you got to return the silver, or if there's a fixed purchase price for the silver, that is booked as it's not an operating lease, it's a finance lease. I got that backwards. If it's fair market value to return, it's an operating lease. And it all has to do with how it's accounted for on the books. It's a fixed back end. You have to book your gain when you put that lease on the books. So the leases were put on the books. A lot of leases were put on the books when J.P. Morgan agreed to pay a $920 million fine. Oh, by the way, they just happened to book a $1 billion gain in gold and silver trading. And that came out in the prosecution, in all the documents of the J.P. Morgan traders. But nobody likes to talk about that. What does that tell me? It explains what's going on with the inventories. So right now, who was today, who's the big deliverer? Every big issuer of silver on the COMEX was a short. It's only the shorts that deliver. If you're long silver on the COMEX, you don't have to deliver. You're the one taking the delivery. A new entry this year, and there's always new entries as the lease game went on for years. It went on for a couple of years. And Jenny Moonstone pointed that out a long time ago. She said, they're going to do something new. And it's a new structure. And they're trying to kick the can down the road. And they've done it for at least 3 years with this leasing operation out of Bank of America, J.P. Morgan. This is a legal operation, by the way. They're colluding together to suppress the price. But HSBC, obviously, and just yesterday, 98 million contracts delivered. And then UBS. UBS has been out of this game for a while. It's interesting. So I drilled down into UBS, and you can see that UBS right here, if you look at it, they issued 149, but look at what they have done for the month, which is a month is only 4 or 5 days of deliveries. Where's UBS? Right there. Oh, it just happens they had already taken delivery of 149. So basically, and this is on their customer account. This is really nothing. So I would say this isn't UBS participating. It's so small. But who are the shorts? Who's taking delivery? JP Morgan, obviously taking delivery. They've taken delivery this month in their customer account. This is the structured deal of 2,279 contracts. That's over 10 million ounces out of 4. So about half again. JP Morgan taking massive amounts of silver deliveries. These would probably be operating leases that were on the books for 2 or 3 years. And the people paying back, it's right here. Bank of America had to deliver 5 million ounces this month. But there's others playing the game. HSBC is the short. Look at what they're having to deliver the last 4 months. Nothing but deliveries. And they're the biggest delivery entity every month for the last 4 months. How is the CFTC not saying this? Of course they're saying this. They know it. They're in on the rig job. So people keep going into the COMEX and buying more and more silver, as you can tell from, where is it? I thought I had it up. Let me see where we are. There we are. Right here. There's still 3.5 million ounces still waiting to be delivered. The month is ticking away. It's not in inventory, or they would have delivered it. So keep an eye on silver. Yes, I mean we're not going to see silver go to $100 on the COMEX. Way before that, we're going to see the COMEX shut down, and it could shut down tomorrow. It could shut down the next day, and some kind of force majeure, I believe, is coming. They've been talking about the State of the Union tonight with Joe Biden speaking to the world. That's scary. They'll either have to have a fake Joe Biden or get him hopped up on drugs, and that apparently he's been nowhere to be found for the past week or two. And they try to get him ready. Oh my God, everything hinges on this. And if it's the real Joe Biden, he'll flub and fumble his way through it. If it's a fake Joe Biden using either computer manipulated video, which they can do easily now, or a double, a stand-in who looks like Joe Biden and speaks like Joe Biden, but is not Joe Biden. And we'll be able to tell right away, truthfully. My guess is that they're going to have a fake Joe Biden in there. Who knows, though? You can't, even if you can prove it, and I've seen so many fakes of all kinds of. Kamala Harris is a hysterical one. When Kamala speaks, the real Kamala just cannot speak is the problem. And we just heard that Fannie Willis, the crazy DA for Fulton County, who's sleeping with the enemy or sleeping with the guy she hired, met with Kamala Harris in the White House. And they have all the data on these things, these people, these crazy Democrats who think, I'll guarantee you that Joe Biden has promised all these people are getting in trouble now for going after Trump out of the blue. They're all going to go get nailed, but don't forget, Joe Biden has the power to release them out of jail. Absolutely, he's the president. He can waive all that shit. They're called presidential pardons. You don't think, Fani Willis and her lover are not going to get pardoned? Of course they'll get pardoned. So will the judge who's making this decision, because he's mainly the guy everybody's looking at and going, oh my God, he's a deep state operative for the left, but can he really rule on this? Because it would throw out the Trump prosecution. So we'll find out. It's a crazy world right now. Lots of news about this. Single junction transparent perovskite. This is the new solar technology. Of course, it uses massive amounts of silver. The future of solar is silver, so they think. So they think. Even the solar companies are like, I don't think we have enough silver to do what we want to do. But it doesn't matter how much silver we take because the price doesn't go up. That's what they're thinking. And one day that'll just end, and silver will no longer be used. And they're building massive factories to build all these plants that make the TopCon. TopCon uses massive amounts of silver. All the new technologies use massive amounts of silver, and one day that'll be over. So I don't think solar is going to double like they want to do this year in 2024. And the reason I think is they won't have any silver. Silver will just stop. At any price, you won't be able to pick up any silver. And Cliff High's data sees this, and it's called, he calls it, silver turns into unobtainium. Sounds like a metal because the IUM, but it means you can't buy silver at any price. And then we get to $600 silver, $2,000 silver, and moving. I don't look at price. I look at the gold-silver ratio, which up at 90 or something like that. Insane ratio. Ultimately, I'll start selling silver and moving into something else, probably a new crypto, or buy even more of Theta, which everybody should have by now. When I'm ready to sell my silver position, maybe at 3-to-1 gold, I'll start. And 1-to-1, it'll probably shoot past that, 1-to-10. 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver, you got to buy with 10 ounces of gold. When it's all revealed just how much gold there is. And that's in the future. But we'll get there. We could get there fast or we could get there slowly. But again, shocking to me that gold and silver bugs who are just they fully understand the monetary system. They fully understand what's going on and are so anti-crypto. All it tells me is they haven't done any homework on the subject, and it doesn't matter. Nobody cares what you think anymore. 16 years later, people who have done the homework say, oh my God, the similarities are shocking. Standalone asset in your own possession, no third parties. Jim Sinclair got it in about 10 seconds when we started our debate back there. And you can still find it on Palisades Radio, the debate between, at Road to Ruta, the debate with myself and Cliff High and Jim Sinclair and Bill Holter. Go check that out. I mean, it's so obvious back then. And this was we did this, 10 years ago or so, something crazy. But it's been a long time. And it's a lot of work to understand the cryptos and then make sure you get the right ones. Bitcoin's okay. You'll do great in Bitcoin. All the big banks, all the Bitcoin only people are, I understand the monetary system because I know that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency, and they completely missing the rest of the world. Everything's going into decentralized cryptocurrencies. Everything. So all the tech companies, everything's going to be decentralized, and you got to pick the right ones. There's a new kind of category called DPIN, and it's decentralized physical infrastructure projects. Which is like the railroad tracks, as Cliff calls them. You got entities running on the railroad tracks, and then you get the foundation of cryptocurrencies and how it works. And obviously, Theta is number one. Yes, I do think the Theta token is going into the thousands. And I'm sad that all the gold bugs are going to miss that because they didn't do their homework and just refused to understand what's really going on. Anyway, Bitcoin's at 67,000. Yes, of course it's volatile. Is it ready to sell off? No, not even close. I mean, you get to 100,000, they might try to do a mini sell-off and then go in and buy. All these big financial institutions think, oh, I'm so smart now because I can get Bitcoin. I'll buy Bitcoin, and completely miss what's going on in the other cryptos and why they're so important. But that's why investing is so fun right now. If you fully understand it before the market does, you're the golden child. Go ahead. Why do you think we bought on the road to Rio? We're buying Theta at 10 cents, 5 cents, 20 cents. I was screaming. I'm still screaming. You can buy Theta at $3. My God, that's gonna be the gift of a lifetime. It's a $2.90. Look at that, 10 cents off. A lot of debate going on. Should we buy Theta or T-Fuel? They'll both do extremely well. A lot of people think that T-Fuel ratio is going to come in. It's like, 30 to 1 or whatever it is right now. It'll come into, where should it be? People have run numbers and all that. And it might be, 8 to 1. It might be 5 to 1. It might be 10 to 1. Might be 50 to 1. There's absolutely great stories for both sides. I think you should have a majority of, I know you don't earn as much when you're staking because you earn like 6-7% on T-Fuel staking. But with a Theta node, you're going to get the, all these new coins that are coming on. If they do any airdrops, you're going to get those. You control it. The Theta is the guardian of the blockchain and can change things and do all sorts of things. Liability had a airdrop. It was great. All you had to do was have Theta tokens, and you got airdropped Liability, which is a healthcare AI. It's gonna be good. Anyway, that's what I got for you. I'm talking to Jenny Moonstone again today. We're gonna talk silver and conspiracies and all that great stuff. Go to roadtoruda.com. We are fulfilling all those Theta. We were giving away Theta. The last, this weekend was the last chance to get Theta for a private road membership. Now we're giving away Veritasium. A lot of people on that too. So we are backlogged a little bit at Road to Ruta, but we're working hard to get your paper wallets mailed to you. Give us enough time. It takes a lot to make these paper wallets, to make them securely, and then to process them and mail them to your front door. So a little time, maybe a week or two. You'll be fine. I'll make sure you get your paper wallet, or we can always send it to you direct. You want to subscribe to the Road to Ruta, go to roadtoruta.com. Click on subscribe today. Now we're giving away one Veritasium token. I've talked a lot about Veritasium. I think it's like an insurance policy that any crypto investor should have. Reggie Middleton basically has the patent on peer-to-peer transactions within the cryptocurrency world that include, obviously XRP, and any CBDC within the United States falls under the patent. Same within the patents in Japan. Reggie has 2 patents in Japan, 2 patents in the United States. They're clearly working together on this. So I think Veritasium will be part of the new monetary system. I don't know exactly how it'll fit in, but if there's no more JP Morgan and Fidelity and the New York Stock Exchange and the COMEX and all that, you need a replacement, and that replacement can't be controlled like the old system was. And that's the beauty of Veritasium peer-to-peer transactions. All right? That's what I got for you. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.